The former state Labor government made the decision to take control of Lake Tyers. Victoria's opposition leader Daniel Andrews joined me in the studio a short time ago. Well, Daniel Andrews, welcome to 7:30 Victoria.
Very good to be here.
Now, it was your government who took control from the owners of the Lake Tyers community. In hindsight, was that a mistake?
Well, I think there are unique circumstances at Lake Tyers, and I think the most important thing is for the government today to make clear to the Lake Tyers community what their expectations are of the Aboriginal men and women, the Aboriginal families who live at Lake Tyers and other shareholders.
You bungled it.
Well, I wouldn't say that. I'm saying I think we'd all be disappointed that in partnership, the government and the community at Lake Tyers have not been able to address to a satisfactory outcome the things that drove the failure in governance. Speaking
of failures, off the back of the New South Wales election, Liberal Party polling claims that support for your party has dropped dramatically since the November state election. Do you think you've caught the New South Wales disease?
Well, I don't think so. What I'm focused on is not so much commenting on Liberal Party polling. I think it is a bit interesting that the Liberal Party, the only thing they've got to do at the moment is drop their own polling.
But you would have to be concerned by the New South Wales result and certainly the woes experienced by the federal party.
I think everybody in the Labor Party across Australia would be concerned with the difficulties that were experienced in New South Wales. However, I don't think anyone would have been shocked by it, no matter what side of politics you're on. I think that drubbing has been a long time in the making and has been a long time coming. I'd perhaps take a different view and say that after 11 years of office, a long-term Labor government here in Victoria, we did not receive that sort of drubbing. We lost the election. I'm not for a moment wanting to second-guess that. We are not the government and we're not pretending to be the government. However, we were not wiped out and washed away the way that our New South Wales comrades were, if you like. And again, I think that speaks to the fact that we were a competent government, not a perfect government by any stretch, but a competent government, and I think in many, many areas a government that left Victoria in a much better place than when we found it back in 1999.
The Auditor-General might dispute that. He's found this week that your renewable energy targets have failed and will add nearly $50 a year to Victorians' power bills. In addition, the smart meters that your government brought in are found to add an extra $100 to people's bills. Were those projects a mistake?
Well, smart meters are part of a national program driven by John Howard. Smart meters were supported by both sides of politics at the 2006 state election. And as far as we know, the Baillieu-Ryan government supports smart meters now. They're having a review.
They're reviewing them.
Well, they're having a review, and it's one of 100 reviews they're having, but certainly they haven't come out and stopped the rollout of these smart meters. So opposed to smart meters are the current government that they are allowing them to continue to be rolled out, even while they're supposedly important reviews going on. Again, in terms of renewable energy, we took decisions and we're proud of the fact that we worked hard to take real action on climate change to lead the way.
Even though the Auditor-General found that they actually made no substantial difference.
Well, the Auditor-General, there's a whole range of findings from the Auditor-General, but we have a legislated target, a 20% reduction by 2020 target that was supported by both sides of politics only a couple of years ago. As recently again as the recent state election that was supported. The real question now is, we're not in office anymore. The Victorian community have made their decision. They voted us out. Ted Baillieu's the Premier, and he needs to explain to Victorians how's he going to meet that target.
How do you explain, speaking of explaining, how do you explain the so-called black holes that you left in the budget for projects like the multi-billion-dollar regional rail project?
Well, it's interesting. Regional rail, let me be very clear, is a fantastic project, an important project, and was backed strongly by our government and indeed by the federal Labor government. I find it amazing that the Liberal Party can be talking about black holes. The tenders are not even out yet, let alone back in for the government. This is spin. This is political speak. This is everything Ted Baillieu promised he would not do and would not be. This is an important project. The government's been dragged kicking and screaming to back it in. Labor's position on this has been absolutely consistent. To be suggesting that there are black holes when the tenders have not even come back yet, many of which aren't even out with the market, is just spin, and the Victorian community can see right through it.
In Question Time this week, you've attacked the Community Services Minister Mary Wooldridge over child protection. It was only months ago that Labor was in charge of this system and had been so for the last decade. Do you really think people have such short memories?
Well, it's not a matter of having a short memory, and it's not about attacking the Minister for the system as such. What we were simply pointing out throughout the week, and not getting any answers, can I say, is that if not for Neil Mitchell and the 3AW radio network, Mary Wooldridge would never have known that a 9-year-old boy was abandoned in Coburg by one of his carers. A brief outlining all of that case sat in her office, apparently not looked at by her. She didn't have the time or the energy or the interest to read that brief.
Do you think
this is a minister that's simply not doing her job.
Do you think she has a point when she says, why didn't Labor exhibit such passion about the child protection system when you actually had control of it?
Again, the key point here is that Mary Wooldridge is the minister now.
What position will you be taking to the Labor Party National Conference on gay marriage?
So I, like a growing number of Victorians, believe that it's unfair that same-sex couples in Victoria, indeed right across Australia, are not able to exercise the option. The Commonwealth Marriage Act obviously is a federal act. I think that a growing number of Victorians and indeed Australians are coming to the view that this is unfair, that same-sex couples should be able to access the option. They should be able to get married, and I think it is unfair. And I think that it's only a matter of time before this law gets changed. And I think it's only a matter of time before those changes are in fact made, Josie.
Thanks very much, Daniel Andrews, for joining us tonight.
Thank you.